A very good morning to all of you, my dear friends. This is Shafiq Ahmed, and you're all welcome to your favorite YouTube channel. Let's learn together. So, a very good morning to all of you, my dear students. Welcome back again. And this is the concluding part of the chapter. That is the last tutorial of this chapter that we are going to start with. And again, like other topics, I am also going to start this topic also with a very beautiful and good made up video that is going to give you a lot of details about the work of wind. So let us start with this video. Okay, I already shared the computer sound also. Let us play. Watch it carefully.
Work of wind. An active agent of erosion and deposition in the deserts is wind. Winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper section.
So as you have just gone through the video clips, you have seen that the one of the major reason of the erosion as well as deposition of soils, or you can say sands, in those areas is also one of the wind is also one of the reason which can erode as well as deposit sands from one place to other places. Not only sands, and even other materials also. A smaller pieces of rocks can also be eroded, means broken down, can also be broken down, and it can be deposited at some other places, as you can see in the video also. And you can see
An
one.
active agent of erosion and deposition in the deserts is wind. Winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper section.
So you might have heard this also, that wind erode the lower section, lower section of the sand in the deserts more than the upper section. There is a reason for that also.
Therefore, such rocks have narrow base and wider top. It lifts and transports sand from one place to another. When it stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited in low hill-like structures. These are called sand dunes. When the grains of sand are very fine, the wind can carry it over very large distances. When such sand is deposited in large areas, it is called loess.
So that we have gone through with the video. Now I am going to explain you in detail also about the wind. Okay, wind is one of the most important and the major agent. For what? For erosion as well as deposition in the deserts. So we are talking about the deserts. डेजर्ट में इरोजन और डिपोजिशन का सबसे बड़ा जो एजेंट होता है, दैट एक्टिव एजेंट इज व्हाट? विंड. एंड यू कैन सी ओवर हियर व्हाट कैन विंड डू. विंड क्या कर सकता है? लेट अस सी इन दिस फोटोग्राफ आल्सो. यू कैन सी wind can erode the sand in the desert, it can break it also into smaller pieces, and it can deposit it to some other places. And in this way you can say such type of beautiful scene you can have because of the wind in the deserts. So let us see more. The wind blows in the deserts, drag sand. Drag का मतलब क्या होता है? खींच लेना, है ना? The wind blowing in the desert, the wind drag the sand along with them. तो डेजर्ट में जो हवा चलता है, वो हवा के साथ क्या रहता है? The air contains a lot of sand also in the desert, because when the wind is blowing at a greater speed, a lot of sand also mixed up in the air, and it might get into your eyes also. So people in the desert, mostly they cover up their eyes and their faces also, so that those particular sand do not blow into their eyes, in their noses or in their mouth. So they used to cover their faces most of the time, so that they can be safe. Let us see further what are the things available in this slide. When a huge rock falls on their path, क्या कह रहा है? When the air is blowing and when the air contains sand also, है ना? So when the air is blowing and something is coming in its path, और वो air blow कर रहा है, उसके रास्ते में कोई चीज अगर आ जाता है, something, if something falls, or you can say that something may be rock also, और उस रास्ते में कौन आ जाता है? Rock. तब क्या होता है? The sand filled winds विंड में क्या फील होता है, सैंड भरा हुआ रहता है, वो तेज हवा में सैंड भरे हुए रहते हैं ना, दैट इज filled with sand. That particular wind is containing, that wind contains sand also. So when a huge rock falls on their path, the sand filled winds scour, that is rub, रगड़ जाता है, रगड़ाता है, and even scrape and push the rock also. So when the wind touches that rock, and that wind is containing sand, है ना, remember this, the wind contains sand also, यानी वो तेज हवा के साथ क्या है, सैंड मिला हुआ है, बालू जो होता है वो मिला हुआ होता है उसके साथ में. And when it comes in contact with any rock, उसके रास्ते में कोई भी रॉक आ जाता है, then what it does, it scour and scrape, यानी उस पर रगड़ के या उसको पुश भी कर देता है रॉक को, और उसको रगड़ के निकल जाता है टच करके. सो अब वो टच करने से क्या होता है, द शेप ऑफ द रॉक्स चेंजेस, वो शेप जो है रॉक का वो चेंज होता है. आई विल शो यू विद एग्जांपल आल्सो, कुछ एग्जांपल्स भी आपको दिखाएंगे. आई विल शो यू with the help of video. As the load of sand is maximum closer to the surface, यानी लोड जो होता है सैंड का वो सबसे ज्यादा मैक्सिमम कहाँ होता है, when it reaches to the surface, when it is downward, when the wind is blowing downward or closer to the surface, maximum load of sand is that and near the surface. So that is the reason why winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper part. लोअर सेक्शन में ज्यादा जो है वो इरोड करता है, रॉक को ज्यादा तोड़ देता है, और लोअर सेक्शन जो है वो काफी नैरो रहता है. बट द अपर सेक्शन, लेकिन रॉक का ऊपर वाले सेक्शन क्या होता है, वाइडर रहता है, वो चौड़ा रह जाता है. बट द लोअर सेक्शन वो क्या हो जाता है, चपटा हो जाता है और बहुत कम हो जाता है जगह उसके लिए. So you can see the lower section of the rock over here. You can see over here. You can see these are the lower section. ये जो आप देख रहे हैं जहाँ पर लोग खड़े हैं और where the land is can be seen over. So these are the lower section. ये lower section और वो upper section, that is the top. तो upper section वो top जो रहता है, that is quite wider. But the lower section are quite narrower. They are having narrow base. These forms mushroom shaped rocks. और ऐसा होने से क्या होता है कि रॉक का शेप कैसे हो जाता है, मशरूम के जैसा हो जाता है. You might have seen a lot of time in your life that mushroom. So that mushroom shaped rocks are formed because of the blow of the wind. The rocks are broken, the rocks are eroded, and we can have different type of base, है ना. base जो है वो narrow हो जाएगा, top में क्या हो जाएगा, wider हो जाएगा. Let me show that mushroom rock. आप लोगों को देखना है? Yes, then let me show you that mushroom rock. You can see over here, this is the mushroom rock, and in this you can see over here, my dear students, that the base है ना, जो base है यानी कि नीचे का जो part है, that is the lower section, is quite narrow, ये बहुत चपटा है. But the top, you can say on the top, you can see over here, it is quite deep, it is quite wide, बहुत चौड़ा है वो, wide है ना top में. लेकिन नीचे क्या है, बहुत चपटा है, बहुत कम है. You can see this type of rock. This is known as mushroom type of rock, mushroom rock also. You will find this type of rock in the desert only, because these rocks are made up of sand से बना हुआ ये rocks है. You can see over here, and the lower section is just having narrow shape. Because the wind blows at the lower section with a heavy load on it. विंड के पास बहुत ज्यादा लोड होता है सैंड का, और वो ज्यादा तेजी से टकराता है लोअर सेक्शन में, और यही एक रीजन है जिसके वजह से मशरूम टाइप का रॉक नजर आता है हम लोगों को. वी कैन सी. Let us move ahead. There is a video also. This mushroom type of rock are also known as hoodoos. They are also known as hoodoos. Remember this. Let me show you with the help of a video also that how these mushroom rocks are formed. ये mushroom rocks कैसे बनते हैं? Let me show you with the help of a video also. So let me start the video. So let me show you that video, my dear students, how really that mushroom rock forms. Let us play the video.
A strong wind can lift sand and other small rock particles. Grains of sand carried by the wind continually wear away and polish the parts of rock extending above the surface.
you can see, my dear student, watch it very carefully, that wind is blowing at a greater speed, and these small particles that you can see white over there, these are the sands, and they are, you can see, they are touching the lower part of the rock. This is a rock, and the sand and the wind is going to touch this lower part, and it will shape, it will give a different shape to this particular rock. Let us see and have an eye to the lower section, है ना, lower section पर अच्छे से नजर रखना आप लोग.
They cause the formation of holes, cracks, and caves in rock faces, and create interesting rock formations resembling mushrooms, tables, pedestals, and pulpits.
So have you seen this one, my dear students, that in this way the mushroom rocks are formed because the wind blow at a greater speed, and the wind is containing the sand with it, but those sand are quite heavy. बहुत वेट होता है सैंड का. दैट्स व्हाई दो सैंड आर इन द लोअर पार्ट ऑफ द विंड, विंड के लोअर पार्ट में होता है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दोस लोअर पार्ट ऑफ द विंड व्हेन इट इज टचिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर रॉक, it is just changing the shape of the lower section. लोअर सेक्शन का शेप जो वो चेंज हो जाता है, बट द अपर सेक्शन का शेप जो है वो मैक्सिमम टाइम पे चेंज नहीं होता है. दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन हैव वाइडर टाइप ऑफ रॉक्स, है ना, रॉक्स व्हिच आर हैविंग वाइडर टॉप, एंड द नैरो इज एंड द बेस as narrow. So this is looking like mushroom, and that's why we have named this rock as a mushroom rock. Okay, so let us come to the topic. Extreme temperature in the desert and scorching days and freezing nights. Remember this, extreme temperature means what? The desert have temperature at extreme level, यानी जो भी होता है वहां पर डेजर्ट में वो बहुत ज्यादा होता है टेम्परेचर, या तो वो ठंडा बहुत ज्यादा होगा या बहुत ज्यादा गर्म होगा, है ना. It will be very hot and it will be very cold. That is known as extreme. Extreme का मतलब यही होता है, very hot or very cold. So the desert is having during the day very hot temperature, very high temperature during the daytime. Scorching days means if you will go there in the desert during the days, you will be out. If you will be roaming during the days in the desert, then your skin will burn, and you might burn also. Your skin will burn. So it is a very scorching heat during the days in the desert. But during the night, it is very freezing nights, very cold in the desert. जितना ज्यादा वो गर्म होता है दिन के टाइम, उतना ज्यादा ही वो ठंडा हो जाता है डेजर्ट रात के वक्त में. So the deserts are having two temperature. During the day it is very hot, and during the night it is very cold. And because of this hot and cold every day, ये दिन में और रात में डेली होता है ना, दैट इज अ डेली वर्क. दिन में वो जो रॉक्स हैं, वहां के रॉक्स हैं जो डेजर्ट्स में, दे वर वेरी हॉट ड्यूरिंग द डेज, एंड व्हाइल इन द नाइट दे आर वेरी कोल्ड आल्सो. सो this causes the rock to expand and contract. दिन में क्या होता है, rocks क्या हो जाते हैं, expand हो जाते हैं during the days because of the scorching heat. The rocks expand, and during the night they contract. और रात में क्या हो जाते हैं, वही rocks जो है सुकड़ जाते हैं, contract हो जाते हैं, और जो भी होता है very fast होता है. Because of this the rocks have cracks in them. cracks हो जाता है rocks के अंदर में. rocks में क्या नजर आते हैं, cracks नजर आते हैं. because of what? because of scorching days and freezing nights. Now when the wind blows, जब wind बहुत तेजी से गुजरता है उसके पास से, because the rocks are already having the cracks, so it lifts and transports the sand from one place to another, and it also breaks those rocks into smaller pieces. It breaks the surface, even it breaks the lower part of the rock also. And when the wind blows with a greater speed, the wind carry a lot of sand with it, and lift the sand. Wind जो है वो अपने साथ में क्या sand को लेकर लिफ्ट करता है, ऊपर उड़ जाता है, और वो ट्रांसपोर्ट, दैट द विंड ट्रांसपोर्ट दो सैंड. ट्रांसपोर्ट मींस कैरी दो सैंड फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर प्लेस, और एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ले जाकर वो सैंड को जमा करते रहता है. सो दिस इज द 24-hour वर्क ऑफ द विंड इन द डेजर्ट. ये 24 घंटा जो है डेजर्ट में होते रहता है. क्या होते रहता है? The wind carry the sand from one place to another place, carry it from one place and deposit at another place. ये 24 घंटा जो है वो डेजर्ट में होते रहता है. Every time it is going on in the desert. Let me show you a few more things, my dear students. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports the sand from one place to another, we know. And when it stops blowing, और जब वो wind जब blow करना रुक जाता है, when the wind stops, then all the sand which are there in the air, in the wind, that all the sand falls in that particular place. जहां पर भी हवा रुक जाता है वो सारे sand जो वो गिर जाते हैं जमीन पे फिर से, and they get deposited in the low hill like structure, और वो एक structure बन जाता है low, यानी कि एक hill like structure it is created, and these are known as sand dunes, और इसको क्या बोलते हैं, sand dunes बोलते हैं. So you can create sand dunes at your home also. आप sand dunes का experiment अपने घर में कर सकते हैं. So my students, I'm going to play that video. How can you create or experiment about the sand dunes at your home also? First of all, I am going to show you one image of the sand dune also, so that you can have a view कि sand dune कैसे होता है. You can see over here. These are the sand dunes. These are the low hill like structures, है ना? They hill जैसे structures बन गए हैं. These are known as the sand dunes, and you can create it and you can experiment in your home also. Let me show you that video. Have patience. Let me play. Okay.
Sand dunes made of millions of finely divided sand particles. I have a few million sand grains right here. Unfortunately, they've become mixed with pebbles and pieces of gravel and coarse sand as well. But some of it is beach sand. Can you suggest a way how I might separate the bits and pieces from this mixture? Well, if I have a sieve or some sort of straining device, maybe I could use that. I could pour the mixture into it and shake it around for a few seconds, and very soon the fine particles, the sand, fine and coarse sand, go through, and some of the small stones, the larger stones, stay behind. Now what if I want to separate this mixture? Well, I could use another sieve or strainer, this time a bit finer than the first one. And this time only the fine pieces of sand will go through, the coarse sand stays behind. So that's one way of separating the bits and pieces of a mixture of sand and stone. But there are other ways of separating the same sort of mixture without doing anything at all. Let the wind do the work for you. Here's the same mixture once again, and I'll simply tip it out and we'll wait for the wind to blow. You might say, he'll be waiting a long time. Ah, no, we happen to have a wind machine in the form of an electric fan right here. Now you watch the bits and pieces of the mixture as the wind starts to blow. Right? Immediately, some of the fine sand grains blow away. In fact, they're going off the edge of the table right now. I can see them in the millions going over the edge of the table. And if you look at the original mixture here, you notice that the larger stones, the pebbles, the pieces of gravel, are staying right where they are. Some of the smaller stones are actually starting to move, and they roll across the table, or they move a little bit away from the pile. But if we leave that fan long enough, and if we allow for other things moving the bits and pieces around, in real life, maybe water from rivers, water from the rain would spread the bits and pieces out, and then the sand would be blown away. In other words, the wind does all the work of separating the bits and pieces. And very soon you'd have stones here, small stones and large sand grains there, and right off the edge of the table, the little fine sand grains, gone for metres down the track. And that's the sort of thing that happens in deserts all the time. If you look at some of the deserts in the centre of Australia, very often you see a lot of red sand and red stones, red pebbles. If you look more closely at those sand grains and the rocks, you find other interesting things as well. Here's an aerial shot of the Simpson Desert. Now you'll notice that there are lots of long grooves, some of them stretching for hundreds of kilometres. Those grooves have been formed over millions of years by the action of the wind, blowing sand away and forming long grooves. There's another very interesting desert in the centre of Australia called the Stony Desert. And if you look at the Stony Desert, you find just what the name tells you. Lots and lots of stones. In fact, it looks very much like the stones that we had right here in front of the fan. Those stones in the Stony Desert are called gibbers. It's called a gibber desert sometimes because gibber is the Aboriginal word for stones. Well, let's get rid of the Stony Desert and go back to the sand dunes. We can make some sand dunes very easily by turning the fan off and then putting some little heaps of sand on the table. There's one there. Make it a little bit higher. couple of others, smaller one there, another one over here, perhaps one over there as well. And we'll set the wind going and you'll see on a small scale what happens in the real world when wind blows over loose, finely divided particles of sand. Watch those little heaps of sand and you may see some changes in shape. The wind is blowing, look at that. Already the sand is moving away. The wind is coming from this direction. Look what's happening. On the direction from which the wind is coming, it's gradually spreading out so that there's a more gradual slope. You see that on that one there? You may notice it on this one as well, and certainly that one there. The side away from the wind becomes more steep, and so each of those little heaps of sand forms a sand dune. It's very much the shape of a sand dune as you know it from visiting the beach. Gradual slope here, steeper slope down there. You may notice something else as well. They're actually creeping along. They're creeping along all the time, very slowly. Sand is rolling up here, down there, up here, down there, and some of it's leaving as well. And one of them's almost left the picture over there. And that's what happens all the time with real sand dunes. And they're very beautiful, whether they're at your coast or like these in Colorado, which form a magnificent park of sand dunes. Those are huge sand dunes, some of them hundreds of meters high, and the sand is moving all the time. Sand dunes themselves are beautiful things which move, but there are some plants that are clever enough to actually put down roots in those moving sand dunes and hold them up for a while and actually go through their life cycle right there in the dunes. Have a look at this.
So my students, you might have seen this, how these sand dunes are formed and how we can experiment at our home also. If you have some sand particles with you, you can really experiment it very easily. So my students, you might have seen how the sand dunes can be formed and you can experiment it at your home also. A series of sand dunes mark the desert landscape. तो desert जो होता है वो landscape जो desert का होता है, जो structure desert का होता है, that is full of sand dunes. There is a series of sand dunes in the desert throughout. जब भी आप desert में जाएंगे, you will find a lot of thousands of lakhs of sand dunes available. It gives it the appearance of a sea of sand. और वो कैसा नजर आता है? एक समंदर नजर आता है. किस चीज का समंदर है? That is a sea made up of not water, but it is made up of sand. You will find desert like the sea of sand. So they are usually crescent shaped. ज्यादातर क्या होते हैं? वो crescent shape के होते हैं. Let me show you that also. I have the photo with my with me, that crescent shaped sand dunes you can see over here. ये crescent moon आपने देखा होगा. So these are the crescent shaped lands, है ना, crescent shaped sand dunes which are also available in the deserts, है ना. So sometime it is longitudinal shape in different shape, other shapes also, longitudinal shape also. So when the grains of sand are very fine and light, अब जो grains of sand जो है वो जब fine होते हैं, यानी when they are very small, when they are very light, यानी बहुत हल्का भी होता है, weight नहीं होता है, then the wind carry it very long distances. बहुत दूर तक जो है wind उसको carry करता है क्योंकि वो हल्का होता है, light होता है और fine भी होता है. So wind carry it through long distances and deposit it in large areas, और बहुत बड़ी जगह पर उसको deposit कर देता है. It is called Lewis. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Lewis बोलते हैं. किसको बोलते हैं? Let us see with the help of image. You can see over here. These are known as Lewis, and these are very fine particles of sand. ये जो particles sands के हैं वो बहुत fine particles हैं क्योंकि ये light weight होते हैं, हल्का होता है उसका weight, and the wind can carry it for long distances. और बहुत ज़्यादा वो एक जगह जमा आके हो जाने से ये इस type का structure बन जाता है, and this type of structure with fine particles of sand are known as Lewis. Okay, remember this, my students. Lewis form fertile plains, है ना, fertile plains होते हैं. Lewis deposit found in China have their origin in the Gobi desert. और Lewis जो है वो बहुत fertile plain भी होते हैं, यानी कि यहाँ पर you can grow something also. This is very fertile. And Lewis deposits found in China, जो चाइना में बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं Lewis deposits you can find in the Lewis China, many type of Lewis deposits, है ना, चाइना में बहुत ज़्यादा पाए जाते हैं, and they are, their origin is the Gobi desert. Let me show you that Gobi desert also. I have captured the image of that particular Gobi desert also with me. I have all. Let me show you. This is the Gobi Desert. ये आप you can search it in the net also, है ना. So China में बहुत ज़्यादा ये पाया जाता है. It is available in China at larger level. Large deposits of Lewis is found in where? In China. Let me show you that also. This is the Lewis deposit in China, and which is available in China at large level. Okay, you can see it over here. So now it is the fun fact time, my dear student. कुछ fun है आपके लिए, कुछ facts हैं. The branch of geography that deals with the study of various landform on the surface is known as geomorphology. Means the branch of geography which is about the study of different type of landforms on the surface. Different type of landforms यानी कि अलग अलग तरीके के landforms को पढ़ने वाला जो branch है geography का, उस branch को क्या बोलते हैं? Geomorphology. Geo means earth and morphology means study of the land ka structure, land structure, the structure of the land. That is known as geomorphology. Means that is the study which deals with the various landforms of the earth surface. The lithospheric plates are moving because they are floating on the molten magma inside the earth. है ना? We have studied and discussed a lot about this lithospheric plates. Hurricanes क्या होता है? Hurricanes are large spiral tropical spiral type के होते हैं. ये spiral binding आपने देखा होगा. So hurricanes are like spiral tropical storms होते हैं. बहुत तेज wind होता है. And ये wind का speed आप देख रहे हैं. You can see it can have 160 miles per hour speed. 160 miles, है ना? And it can unleash more than 2.4 trillion gallons of rain in a day. एक दिन में इतना पानी वो बरसा सकता है. 2.4 trillion gallons. So that is the fact. है ना? You will have to remember. Hurricanes can be coupled with storm surges and severe flooding also. और hurricane के साथ क्या हो सकता है? Flooding भी आ सकता है because a lot of rain is there in the hurricanes. So it is quite dangerous. बहुत speed wind होता है. 160 miles per hour speed हो सकता है उसका. And it can give you 2.4 trillion gallons of rain in a day. Okay, landslides often accompany earthquake. Landslide की वजह से यानी कि land जब slide करता है, जमीन जब घसक जाता है, घिसकता है, so we can have earthquake, we can have flood also, we can have storm also, we can have hurricanes, even we can have wildfires. Wildfires यानी कि वो fire जो जल्दी जल्दी वो बुझेगा नहीं, जल्दी वो खत्म नहीं होगा. That is wild, dangerous, very dangerous fire also. And we can have volcanic activity. Volcano can also come out on the surface of the earth because of this landslide, है ना? अगर जमीन हट जाएगा तो सारे volcano जो बाहर आ जाएंगे. So they are often more damaging and they are deadly. बहुत damage करते हैं ये सारी चीजें. Earthquake, flood, storm, hurricanes, wildfire, volcanic activity, damage a lot of things, and they are deadly also. They can kill a lot of persons. They can kill, है ना? बहुत सारे लोगों को मार भी सकते हैं. बहुत सारे लोगों का जान जा सकता है. So that is all, my dear students. More we will meet in the next chapter. I hope that you will be in the next chapter also with me. May Allah bless you all. Many thanks to the learners and cooperating me and listening me in the class also. May Allah bless you all. That's all. Thank you, my dear students. Have a good day. Stay at home and stay safe. Hope that you have liked the video, and we will meet again in our next video release of the tutorial. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the information of the next release of the tutorial. Please share it with your friends and others also. Thank you for the time being. Take care. Stay at home. Bye bye. Take care.